Okay, Mr. Allegretti, if you want to go ahead and call the meeting to order, we're ready.
Okay, thank you, Lamont. Yeah, my name's Tony Allegretti. Is it, can you hear me now? Is it, okay, there we go. Okay, my name's Tony Allegretti. I'm acting chair for this meeting. I'll call it to order. Mr. Peppers, if we can get a roll call.
Yes, we have Ms. Kendall,
Here.
Mr. Allegretti,
Present.
and for the record tonight, we have two new appointed CPRB members. I will have them turn their mics on and enter their name into the record for me. To my immediate right.
Peggy Patton,
And Peggy, could you spell your last name for me, please?
Patten.
Thank you so much. And on the far end next to Ms. Kendall.
Ashley Withers,
And Ashley, could you spell your last name for the record, please?
Withers.
And with that, Mr. Chair, you do have a quorum.
Great, thank you. So we have an agenda in front of us. I believe, does everyone have a copy of the agenda for this evening? Is there any motions to amend the agenda? Okay, with that being said, there's no motions. So I'd move to approve the agenda I guess we don't have to do a roll call vote. We can just do a vote by, okay. Does everyone approve of the agenda?
Yes.
All right, I'm seeing yeses.
Yes.
So the agenda will be approved for the evening. The next item is the approval of the minutes from March 23rd, which I believe we have a copy. Is there any? I'll put it up to a vote. Should move to approve, if there is a motion to entertain approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, you can ask for discussion. If no discussion, then you can make a motion. You can ask someone to make a motion that the minutes be approved as stand, and then someone
Okay.
would second from there.
Let's see if there's any discussion. Does anyone have any discussion about the minutes?
No.
Ashley and Peggy, no? Okay. Then I would seek someone to move to approve the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 23rd, 2022.
I'll second that.
Great. If we can get a roll call vote on this?
Mr. Allegretti,
Yes.
Ms. Patton,
Yes,
Ms. Kendall,
Yes.
Ms. Withers.
Yes.
Motion is approved as read.
Okay, great. The next item would be public input. I know it's only in person. We're not taking input from over the internet. I don't know if we have any public input. We have Scott here. Sir, if you'd identify yourself, if you'd like to make a statement.
Do I come up here or do this?
I believe, I don't know, actually.
Do I use
you-
this for public input?
Yes, for
Oh,
public
that's
input,
fine.
you would approach the
Okay.
mic. You need to give your first and last
Sure,
name for the
yeah.
record.
Okay, my name is Scott Dossett, and I was on this board for a while. And I knew there were a couple of new people that were coming. Had hoped to see Colin and Anthony and Ricardo, of course, but wanted to thank you all for your service and just come and have a little bit of visit. I hadn't met Ms. Boyd, really, before I left. And just wanted to say a few words about CPRB and some things I felt about it. This is not a perfect board. There is no such thing as a perfect board. If you look at your enabling ordinance, it was a 4-3 vote that squeaked this out of the city council in 2008. But I hope that the performance of the board can prove that 4-3 vote was good for this city and the people of Urbana. I think there are a couple of issues I'd like to mention. The first one being, I hope you guys are progressing on a rewrite of the ordinance. We had talked about that before I left. I think it's really important that the ordinance somehow protect or stratify or triage complaints to to prevent frivolous complaints going to appeal. We went for many years with 12 to 15, sometimes less, complaints per year. During calendar, I believe it's 220, we zapped to 90. And as far as I'm concerned, it was an abuse of the process. Just because someone may file a complaint that is a good complaint in the context that it's submitted correctly and documented correctly about the potential for a police officer exceeding the speed limit on a street, doesn't mean that that complaint should necessarily be able to go to appeal. And right now, the ordinance has no way to protect itself from somebody who literally could file an appeal every day, file a complaint every day that could potentially put you into appeal every day. And I know it's a difficult subject. How do you trim this stuff? What's a real appeal? What's not a real appeal? But I hope that that's something that the new ordinance is working on. The other thing I note, this was, I wish I would have worked a little bit harder on this when I was on the board. When you have an appeal or a rendering of a judgment, there's a section in the ordinance that requires that the chair be responsible for a written communication to the mayor and maybe the chief about the status of that appeal, whether you're sustained or non-sustained, and probably have comments. I don't think we've ever done that, and so I guess I'm just calling that out as something I'd like to see. Perhaps, given the other burdens of the chair, that could be something that an ad hoc committee could deal with or write up on, or another committee member could be involved in to kind of relieve that burden. I think given the kind of appeal board that this is, which is basically a review and process to mayor type board as opposed to like a police commissioner setup, that really enables the transparency to the mayor that then can kind of get communicated to the rest of the community at large. The other thing is I'm glad that we're almost on track now with the annual reports for the board, but it's going to be really easy to get behind if you guys can't get what is 19 the next one that we need or so. And that's a real important thing to me, because if the community is not seeing output from the board, then it reduces the faith of the community in the board. And given the structure of this board being a relatively low-powered one in terms of doing any kind of aggressive action about an officer complaint, I think it's really important that people see those reports and that be something that we, that people begin to trust and they understand. So, I would just say please review the complaints in a timely fashion and completely when they're submitted. You guys will have access to those through the portal. And I think this is a really good experience for me in terms of trying to help the community that I live in, and I hope that all of you, go away with that same feeling. So that's all I had. And I'm not going to stay, so y'all have a good night.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dossett, and thank you for coming. You're welcome anytime. We'll move on then to the officers' report. Ms. Boyd?
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. There were 3 new complaints since our last meeting. 2 of them were in April and 1 of them was in May. All of those are in the process of investigation. This brings the total for the year to 4. Scheduled and canceled an appeal hearing, and I will be sending out another poll to try to get that rescheduled as soon as possible. Working on this is for the other side of the house that I staff, the other board that I staff. I've been working on complaints for that commission and responding to FOIA requests, so it's important to have that FOIA training in. And then completed interviews for potential board members. We selected two of the applicants out of 5. And that is the end of my report, but I will have other information for some of the items.
Carla, I had just a question about the miscommunication with the publishing of the appeal. Was there something that the board can do to help facilitate that, or was it just?
It was a clerical error.
Okay.
And we wanted to, make sure.
No,
that
yeah,
we did
I
it
understand
correctly.
why we canceled it. I was just curious as if there was anything we could have done.
No.
Okay. And you said all the complaints that are pending this year, none of them have been appealed yet because they have not been completely
They
investigated.
are completed. No.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, then we'll move to unfinished business. I know there's nothing listed there. I can comment a little bit about that. I've been reviewing the procedures and policy manual with the
Mr. Chair,
board.
I didn't
I'm
mean
sorry.
to stop you. You didn't make an amendment to the agenda, so you actually need to go to the next item of business.
Oh, okay.
or
Well,
we'll
then
be off print
we
of
can
the
discuss
agenda.
that later. Then we'll move on to new business. We'll introduce the new members. I know we've heard the names, but if maybe Ms. Patton and Ms. Withers, if you could just take a second to introduce yourselves, let us know a little bit about you.
Sure.
Yeah, if you'd start.
Okay. I'm Peggy Patton, and I've lived in this community for nearly 40 years, raised 3 children who are now adults. In my professional life, I retired a few years ago from university, but I worked in education, early childhood education as a teacher and then a teacher of teachers, and then in the parent referral field for a number of years. I was served on the Urbana School Board for 12 years and stepped down a year ago, last June, and that was a valuable experience, and I knew I was wanting to get involved in some public service at the city level and have always been interested in the role of policing in our community and knew that it was central to the life and vibrancy and health of a community. And so when I saw this position open, I threw my hat into the ring, as it were, so that I could kind of be part of the process. So thank you.
Great. Well, we're happy to have you on the board. I know we've had some open seats for a while, so it's nice to fill them. Ms. Withers, if you'd just take a few moments.
My name is Ashley Withers. I consider myself to be a lifelong resident of Urbana, although I did live in Homer for 10 years. But my heart has always been here. I did move back to Urbana in 2020. I have 2 small children that are almost 3 and 6. And my professional life, I am an employment specialist for Community Choices. So we partner with adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities. So I work with job seekers to help match them with jobs here in our community. I wanted to just kind of get more involved. My grandparents were very heavily involved in civil things here in the community. And I started on the Urbana Park District Advisory Committee last fall, and I'm also a mentor at the middle school. And my stepfather was actually a county deputy for over 30 years and has since retired and is an instructor at the Police Training Institute. So I kind of want to use that like limited baseline knowledge of kind of, how things are supposed to operate to kind of just help our community and make sure everybody's held accountable for things that happen.
Great. Thanks, Ms. Withers, and we're happy to have you as well. I think that brings us to a total of, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'd have 6 members with Mr. Wilson departing. So are we still holding, I don't know if we're still holding interviews for the empty seat or?
We've completed the applications
round.
that have been submitted.
Okay. So there's still an empty seat. If someone is interested in listening, we still have 1 more seat to fill on the board. I'll move to 7B, which is I guess you'd pronounce it the NACL training, which is the National Association of Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. I know there's a training in September. I know Mr. Diaz was looking to have somebody attend. I believe it's a week-long event. I don't have much more information about it. Carla, if you could.
What Mr. Allegretti is talking about is the NACOL conference, and it will be held September 11th through the 15th in Fort Worth, Texas. They are still in the submission proposals phase right now. And so I was out looking to see if they had an agenda yet, or if they had, how to get registered, and that information will be forthcoming. And I have also explored opportunities on how to fund those for someone to attend, and more information will be coming for that too. There, if I may, there is a webinar series that's going to be on June 14. This is a part of the NACOL webinar series. It's called Understanding Brady and Giglio, Civilian Oversight's Role. That will be June 14, 2022, 12 to 1 Central Time. And it is a webinar. The cost is $15, and if you would like to attend, let me know. And we can get you registered and get that. Ms. Kendall?
I would like to attend that.
Okay.
If you're asking, I'd be interested in attending it as well.
Okay.
Can you say anything more about, Bradley and Giglio, what the
Yes.
relevance of that is to our work? I mean, I know about NACOL, but I don't know.
Yes, I have that here.
Those are the
Could you
cases,
repeat
I
your
believe.
question? Is
Yeah,
your green
please.
light on, Ms. Patton? I'm sorry.
It is on.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I do have the explanation, or the it says, in Brady v. Maryland, the United States Supreme Court held that prosecutors must provide exculpatory information to defense counsel, and in Giglio v. United States, it extended the holding to include information suggesting a witness may not be credible. Many law enforcement agencies and district attorneys' offices have created Brady lists of officers whose disciplinary or testimonial history must be disclosed if they are called to testify. But some lists and some protocols have been criticized as inadequate. This presentation will set forth the legal standards for what prosecutors must disclose about officers' histories under Brady v. and Giglio, and what role civilian oversight professionals can play in improving police disclosure procedures and ensuring that defendants get information to which they are entitled. The panelists will discuss what steps civilian oversight agencies, based on an investigative model, can take to ensure that Brady and Giglio information uncovered in their investigations is disclosed, and what steps police commissions and review-focused and auditor, inspector general-focused civilian oversight agencies can take to ensure that law enforcement agencies are meeting their constitutional obligations.
It does sound interesting. Do these webinars happen on some regular basis? Do you know? I mean, are they monthly or weekly or quarterly, or is there a clear?
There isn't a clear
Okay.
schedule.
Mhm.
I get emails, and as I get those emails, I will share those.
Okay.
What I did discover is that you can go out to the NACOL website,
Okay.
and under their training, you can see past webinars,
Okay.
and you can access those.
Oh, okay.
And there's a host of different
Oh.
topics that are available.
Oh, okay. They're available on the web now for.
Yes, I
Okay.
believe so.
Oh, okay.
Because when I went out there, I was able to click on them, and they came up.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boyd. So we'll move to 7C, which is a discussion of potential training resolution amendments. I don't believe, was that provided in the packet? Okay. Oh, here we go. So I have not had a chance to look through this, but yeah, I think that may be the case. This resolution looks like it was passed back in 2020. And I know it's just on it's on the agenda as a discussion item. I don't know if any of us are prepared to discuss it at this point, but Ms. Boyd,
I believe the chairperson was going to discuss this. but
Sure.
He is out of town. We did have a small conversation about it where we looked at the page 6, where it outlines the each year, beginning with 2021.
Oh, yeah.
Each members of the CPRB will complete the following at a minimum. And so we were looking at how to get those completed, which is why I was looking at the NACOL conferences and webinars in order to provide opportunities for the CPR board to complete these. I do have a log of trainings that have already been completed by board members, and some of them I'm not quite sure of, so I was going to ask if you've had them. So the OMA training,
I've done the OMA.
Which training, I'm sorry?
the Opens Meetings Act training.
I just completed that.
I have you. And then TASER training. I know that I believe
Did that in
everybody
person.
previously on the board has
Yeah.
taken that, and then the new people have to take that. Ride-alongs. I know Mr. Diaz and Mr. Wilson completed that. Did you?
I was holding off on scheduling it, and now I need to do that.
Okay.
And I have not done that either.
Okay. So what, I got the information from Sergeant Wright. I will send that information, his contact information to everyone, and he's the person that you will contact to schedule your ride-along with.
Okay.
And that's Sergeant Colby Wright.
And they're going to be 4 hours each. Is that
Yes, I believe they go through a shift.
a shift? Okay.
And then the use of force training.
I don't believe that's been offered, or
I don't think we've been offered that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't think that's,
it might. I mean, that may have been touched on with the TASER training, I think.
Right.
But I don't, as a separate training, no.
Okay. And then the security training, I believe all the previous members participated in that
For the council chambers.
Mhm.
Yes,
when we
I-
were in the,
upstairs, right.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Okay.
I remembered that you guys were in it.
Yeah, yes.
And we will get that for the new members. Then I also am starting to log the webinars, so as those who are participating in the NACOL webinars or in the conference, I will start marking that so that those hours are counted also. And then we also have community outreach, and I know the most upcoming event will be the Jetty Roads Day, and that will be June 25th. And I believe it's from noon to 4. And if you want to volunteer, the city will have a presence there, table, booth, and you are welcome to volunteer for that day.
I have a question.
What is
How
the
long
J
is
Roads
the-
Day?
Oh, wait, I had two questions.
ahead.
Sorry, what you said J Roads?
Jetty Roads.
I'm not familiar with it.
Jetty Rhodes was actually my cousin,
Oh,
and her thing was to get to know your neighbor.
oh, okay.
And so we have had it, this will be the first one, of course, post-COVID. So we usually have it the fourth Saturday of the month, and everything that we have there is giving back. And so everything there is free. We give away lots of things. There's entertainment. This is the first year that if you are a vendor, you can sign up and pay a small portion to come and sell your goods. The money that you pay as a vendor will go towards a scholarship, a Jetty Road scholarship. And so it's just a way to come out and everyone, just a day to have a really good time. We have a cook-off that day where local people can show their good chicken, ribs, and everything, and they're judged and they get a trophy.
Okay.
Like I said, we'll have various entertainment, but it happens the fourth Saturday of June every month. So
Great.
we're very, very excited that it's back in person, and we hope that lots of people do come out. I will be out there as part of the Jetty Roads Committee, but I will stop by the booth if I can. But that is a very busy day, but that is just a way to give back to the community.
Gotcha. Okay,
Mhm.
great.
It's at King Park, I'm sorry, yeah.
It's at
It is
King
at King Park.
Okay.
From 12 to 4. We are looking for volunteers, so if a group is, willing to volunteer, and there are various community members in town that will have a booth that will have their information. So if you're looking for information new to the town, or, post-COVID looking for different things, we have several booths out there that will be giving away things, several fraternities and sororities that will be doing things for the kids. So it's a family-friendly day there at King Park.
Okay. Great. All right. Thanks, Katrina.
Well, can I just ask, do you want us to let you know now or later by email? Because I'm certainly available to come that day, but,
If you're volunteering now, I can add you.
sure, yeah, no, I don't.
Is that the 25th?
The 25th, yeah.
Saturday, the
Okay.
25th, and I didn't know she was your cousin. That's quite an honor. I mean, that makes you a celebrity. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
And the last note is, I believe that the chairman will probably bring this discussion back up on the resolution for the training
Okay.
at a later date.
Okay. Great. Okay. Is there any other discussion about the training resolution amendments? Okay.
No, I mean, it seems like, I'm a new member, so, yeah, I never
Oh,
took
you
it
still
off. I
on-
should have
oh,
kept
okay.
it, sorry. Being a new member, I kind of take my lead from you two, but it sounds like a good comprehensive set of trainings that would be valuable to have. I don't know how, it varies from what the expectations were when you both joined the board, if this is wildly different or more comprehensive, more diverse, or,
Yeah, I joined in 2020.
just curious.
So, and I know I was doing some of the trainings. I don't think I
Ah.
was aware of the resolution at the time, but maybe it was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when this was exactly passed, but yeah, no, I mean, more training is always better. I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
not. It's just a matter of availability, and with most of this being something you can actually watch on your computer, it's something you can do outside of I think the ride-alongs. And I don't know if the mock hearings, are we able to substitute an actual hearing for that? I mean, I know we've had a number of them, which maybe in the past was not always the case.
And I believe those questions will be a part of the discussion.
Sure.
Because our initial discussion about bringing this to the board
Right.
was, there is a lot of commitment outlined here.
Yes, that's
and
true.
Wanted to see if there was opportunities to streamline or how to best
Right.
get it all completed.
Okay.
Right, yeah, no, it seems, I mean, if devoting a day could knock out a lot of it, if that was something we could set up, but, yeah, if we'll have more discussion, I guess we can leave it at that unless anyone else had any other questions about it or comments. Okay. We'll go to 7D. An update on board members' training, community events, activities. I'm assuming Mr. Wilson may have had an update for us, or Ms. Boyd, do you have one for us?
I do not. The only update that I had was the opportunity for Jetty Roads, and I will be sending out as events come up, because I know that the city is in the process of starting to put together a kit for outreach. And so as we move that forward, we're going to start looking for opportunities to be out in the community. I know previously the board talked about being at the Market on the Square.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is still a goal, but if it is, then we can work towards that also.
Did we know, or was it looked into about the cost of doing that, or were we able to get space without?
I believe we were, but I would have to look back at my
Okay.
notes, and I believe
I don't know if we took any polls about staffing it either.
I don't believe we did.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the main issue would be who would get out there. I know that last row where they have most of the community engagement tents and things there's space, so it's really just a matter of staffing it. So,
And is there an option, I know sometimes people will just, you know, have a table the first and third Saturday of the month. I mean, we don't have to commit to every Saturday. Is that still the case? I know in the past that was the case at the farmer's market. Some groups could only get enough staff to do it 1 or 2 times a month, which made it more achievable. But
I believe so. Because I think when the board members were talking about it previously, recognized that every Saturday would not be able, they wouldn't be able to accomplish that. So
Yeah.
I believe it's when we could, we would.
you're looking at the more flexible.
is there a city tent that's out? I was there 2 weeks ago, and I don't remember if I saw like a standing city tent where there may be different boards or different departments from the city of Urbana.
I would have to,
Yeah,
I would have to check on that.
it'd be
There's a
nice.
standing city tent out there.
Oh, okay.
That happens. Mr. Brian Eaton, who's in charge of that, there's always a tent where they have staff as far as like pointing out directions. I don't know that they still give out city brochures, but there's
Yeah.
always the blue City of Urbana tent staffed by members of community development, outreach, and then they have volunteers as well who work
Okay.
who work just for the market on the square. So
But
it could
yeah,
be an
that's specifically-
opportunity to have a tent next to them or to partner with them at the already existing city tent.
Right. It might be easier if we just had someone show up, because we had a brochure printed, so we do have some literature as well. So it might be as easy as having someone just pop under the tent that's already there, potentially.
And is this a brochure specifically about the Civilian Police Review Board?
Yeah,
or-
it was
oh,
just
uh-huh.
redone. Column did a lot of work
Oh, okay.
drafting that
Oh, good.
and getting it printed out. So, yeah, it's ready to go, and that would be a good place to hand it out.
Huh. Oh, good. Great.
I don't know if is it, Carla. Maybe it's possible if we can send a doodle out on that as well to get an idea of availability for the rest of the.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah, we might actually can accomplish something with that and push that forward and see who can do what.
And how long would the increments of being at the market of the square be on the doodle?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't have to commit to a whole morning because it's 7 to 12, and
Okay.
maybe. I mean, I know. It seems like there's maybe 3 distinct layers of the market. There's the early,
yeah, there's the early
risers.
birds, and then there's the middle,
There's this,
and
yeah,
then there's those,
last minute Charlies
yeah.
that are,
yeah.
some. I mean, maybe just the middle portion may be the best. I don't know. I feel like the people who are there in the morning are there for the vegetables and nothing else. And
Yeah, and there are some people that go right and stay from the middle to the end.
Right.
And there's people that, stay there all day because they go into common ground and do some other stuff, so.
maybe if we can do 2 doodles, maybe one just on any given market, times available, 7 to 9, 9 to 11, 11 to noon, or maybe just half. I don't know. And then get a full-on calendar of which ones people are available for through the end of the. I mean, it goes until the end of October, so there's a lot of time.
And just so I'm clear, the thinking that our participation would be specific to responding questions regarding the Civilian Police Review Board, making sure people had the latest information. This new brochure sounds like it'll be really helpful. I mean, is that the?
It'd be more just about just making people aware of the board
Mm.
and informing them of if they have a complaint, they can submit it, where to submit it to, and then what, informing them of what the board does and how it operates would really be just an awareness
Gotcha.
idea. Nothing, I mean, we wouldn't be taking complaints
Yeah.
or anything like that. There's a process for that,
Uh-huh.
which is outlined in the ordinance. So, and then,
Gotcha.
attempting to answer their questions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be mostly awareness building,
Uh-huh.
making people aware that there's a place to file a complaint if they have something.
Gotcha. And it sounds like this brochure is a good kind of overview of that
it's,
information for someone who might not be
Right. Yeah. We should get I don't know if we have any here, but we'll definitely get you
yeah.
a copy, both
Okay.
of you, to review.
I have some upstairs I can get.
Perfect.
That'd be great.
Thanks, Carla.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion or any other updates about the community events activities? No? Okay. We'll move on to public input. Just for the new people, we do, or it's been our pattern and practice to do 2 public inputs. Just sometimes when you have it in the beginning, you're not able to actually comment on what's discussed in the meeting, so we like to open it up again for people to discuss what we've discussed, and that way feel like it's a little more, you accomplish a little more, or it's a little more productive when you've got comments at the end. So it doesn't look like we have any public comment right now at this point, but so with that being said, I don't think there is any. Moving on to,
I'm sorry to ask so many
No,
questions.
go ahead.
but Can I ask about, because I mean, public comment in all public bodies is very different. I know the school board had a very particular way of doing it, which was always at the beginning of the board meeting, and there was no dialogue back and forth. I mean, that wasn't dictated by statute. The school board code allowed you to do whatever you wanted, but that was our practice. So I was just wondering what the practice is here with public comment,
sure.
if there's an expectation of dialogue or not dialogue, question and answering or not,
So normally what we'll do is the 2 sessions, and then that is just public input. There isn't a dialogue or a conversation between the commenter and the board. However, we do slot in, as you see in agenda item 9, that's the opportunity for the board to make comments, and those can be directed at really anything, but sometimes it is directed towards questions that are posed by the public who make comments. So that's kind of, as far as any sort of communication between the board and the public, it's usually done there.
Okay,
That's kind of how it's structured.
okay.
Yeah.
And would that then invite dialogue, or would that be simply, I'd like to address, for example, what Mr. Dossett, his recommendations, would it be just simply to respond to something he said, or would there be an expectation that there might be, back and forth?
No, it would just be, it's one way,
Gotcha,
both ways, but not simultaneously.
gotcha,
I guess
okay.
that makes sense.
No, that's helpful.
Yeah.
'cause
But yeah, that's typically how it's structured. I will say we do usually get a number of comments when we've been online. I know there was some discussion about possibly opening up or trying to get comment from people who are maybe watching on the internet, but I don't know if that's technically feasible or not. I know it was briefly discussed, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. I know the council doesn't do that, but
I don't believe that there will be electronic input
right.
when live meetings are happening.
Yeah. So if as long as we're here, if anyone wants to comment, you have to be here in person at this point. So we'll move on from 8 since there's no public input. We'll move on to the board. If anyone has any comments they'd like to make at this point, I don't have anything else to say, I guess. I guess I can address this now in unfinished business. We are reviewing the policy and procedures manual. I've been working on that. I will say I haven't done as much as I would have liked, but I'm definitely open to having more people. We had me and Ms. Kindle were working on it. There's a shared document. We are reviewing all of that. So based on Open Meetings Act and conforming with that, I think it's going to have to be a committee of two, just in order to abide by that law. But I will say that's something that's being reviewed. So if you haven't seen the policy and procedures manual, we can definitely send that out. Do we have emails for both of you at this point? Are those set up yet? Or I know it's very early, probably.
We have their emails. We haven't included it in the bulk email
Yeah.
address, and that will happen pretty soon here.
Okay, great. I think that's the only comment I had. Does anyone else have any comments or announcements they'd like to make?
I guess I want to say that I appreciate the training links that Carla, you sent to Ashley, and to me, I found, I mean, not only about the Open Meetings Act and the FOIA training, but the kind of training video that starts out with Mayor Marlin and then goes to Elizabeth Hansen and the city attorney. What I found super informative, and the fact that it is on a video where you can kind of stop and go back and forth is a real valuable resource. And I understand it was put together in July of 2020, so relatively recent. I mean, so I just thank you and whoever was behind that, because it had a lot of real content, about models of police oversight, about, processes that the police follow, the city follows, that this body follows, other cities and what forms of police oversight they use, strengths and weaknesses. I mean, just, a lot of information, and served as a really good beginning for those of us starting out. So thanks for that. I was curious, the one thing I haven't yet looked at is you also linked to a previous board meeting. I forget what the date was. It's relatively recent, and that's one I haven't looked at yet because I've been out of town. And I was wondering if there was a particular reason why that you linked to that board meeting as part of the training for new members. Do you know?
I can't give you a definitive answer on that.
Okay.
Those were provided for me
Ah.
when board members were coming on, is
Okay.
to provide those links.
Okay.
But I can get you a more definitive answer.
Yeah, the others are obvious to me, and that one isn't. Just I want to make sure when I sit down to watch it, I'm watching it with the right frame of mind, that this is the reason I'm being asked to look at this is for this reason.
I will follow up with, and I'll send it to all the board members.
All right, thank you.
I would say, I guess, to Peggy and Ashley, if you haven't already, read through the ordinance, and if you have questions or comments or, suggestions, we are, as Mr. Dossett has said, we are reviewing it. This was, it was probably over a year ago. There was some discussion about what is who has the ability to file a complaint. What's a first-person account of the complaint? There was a lot of discussion about viewing a video of a interaction with an officer and a civilian, and would that person have an ability to file a complaint? Anyway, that was sent up to the council, and what we were instructed to do was kind of put together all of the suggestions for amendments to the ordinance and what we would like to see done. So that's still in the process of being put together. So we definitely want to hear your input about what you'd think should be done or could be done to make the ordinance better.
Okay.
I know that's kind of vague, but
Well, yeah, I mean, it's only vague just because, I did look through the ordinance, but, when I initially thought about applying to this, but because everything is so new, I'm not sure what lens I'm looking through yet.
Sure.
If you know what I mean. I feel like I'm sort of in this information gathering and trying to just learn the landscape. But I'm happy to be of help if there's something specific. But right now I sort of feel like I'm still kind of
Sure.
getting my
Feet wet.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, we should have an appeal set up, rescheduled fairly soon, so you guys should be able to jump right into it and kind of get the whole process pretty soon,
Okay.
which is good.
Okay, yeah,
It'll throw you right into the fire.
okay. Okay. That's it.
All right. Any other comments, announcements? All right. We'll move to 9B. The next meeting, it's already been set, July 27th. I guess for Ms. Withers and Ms. Patton, we've been setting a 2-month regular meeting. I don't know if this was already, stop me if you've already heard this, but we do a regular meeting every other month with the idea of setting hearings in the intervening month. As you heard commented, that we have a backlog of appeals that we're trying to get through. There's a number of them that are can be grouped together, which we're trying to do in order to move them through the process. But that was the idea of the setup, which we would do in the ordinance. It's every quarter we're supposed to meet. We've moved it up to every other month, and then to catch up with the backlog, we're doing every other month with appeals. So that's the current status as far as meetings right now.
So should we be marking off a particular day of the in-between months so that they were protected for the appeals? Or-
No, so Carla will send out a doodle, which is
Okay.
the scheduler
Uh-huh.
thing online. She'll have a list of, so she's going to contact the appellant to get some proposed dates when
Okay.
they're available, and then she'll submit that to us to when we're available, and we'll make it match
Gotcha.
up.
Okay,
And as long as we have, now that there's 6 of us, we need 4. No, yes, we still need 4. For a quorum, yes. Yeah, we need 4. So as long as there's 4 of us, we can proceed with the hearing. So
okay.
now that you're here, we have a lot more flexibility with,
you must
with making that work.
Must have been really hard when you had 5 for a while, and that just meant only one, almost all of you had to be present. I mean,
We
4
needed
of you.
3 for.
Oh,
yeah,
is that right? It did
yeah,
go down?
yeah.
Okay.
'Cause you
I
needed.
wasn't sure. Something about that the city attorney said on that webinar or training was even if you have 2 vacancies, you still have to have the same quorum. And I just remember, I mean, if I heard him correctly, maybe I didn't. But
It's a no, it's.
I thought, oh,
yeah.
wow. I mean, that would be really challenging.
We were able to do it with 3, so
Okay.
yeah. But so yeah, that's again to explain
Okay.
why the next meeting's there. And with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I entertain the motion that we adjourn our meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. And then can we get a roll call vote, Mr. Peppers?
Ms. Withers,
Yes.
Ms. Kendall,
Yes.
Mr. Allegretti,
Yes.
Ms. Patton,
Yes.
motion approved.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Welcome, new members. Ms. Boyd, Mr. Peppers, thank you as always. This meeting is adjourned.